This is Marco, the virtual assistant of Dr. Jacqueline Fahmy. I'll do a quick presentation about the cost estimation. So let's start by looking at a diagram about the basic structure of cost estimate. Normally, we work on quantifying direct and indirect costs, then combining these costs to get our total project costs. We'll then apply a markup to cover our profit margin and corporate overheads. To get the price we submit to the client. The first step, in the estimating process, will be to determine direct costs. The direct costs will always form the bulk of the project costs. Usually over 70% of the total project costs will be direct costs. To determine our direct costs, we need to develop our work breakdown structure and determine all the work required to complete, develop our delivery solution. So work out how we're going to complete the works. Then quantify the costs for each scope item, so work out the labor plan, materials and subcontract costs for each of these. Next we need to determine our indirect costs. These will consist of preliminaries, overheads, and our risk and opportunity. We'll quantify our preliminary costs based on identifying all of our preliminary cost items, quantifying them. We'll determine our overhead costs by creating our project organization chart and estimating staff salaries. And finally we'll work out what contingency we need to allow for by developing a risk and opportunity register. We'll then combine all these costs to get our total project cost. Apply a markup to this cost to cover the business profit margin and corporate overheads. Review our estimate, fill out the client pricing schedule, and then submit it to the client. Let's now look at direct cost estimating in a little bit more detail. Direct cost estimating can be broken down into three simple fundamental steps. Number 1, understand the scope. Number 2, establish the delivery methodology. And number 3, estimate the costs. In step 1, we need to work out everything we need to accomplish to complete the project. What is everything we need to do to finish and hand over the project to the client? This involves creating the work breakdown structure and identifying all the unique project deliverables. These will be summarized into work packages. Next we need to do a quantity takeoff and determine for each work packaged the quantum of work to be completed. For example, if we have a work package from a subsurface drainage patent, install how many linear meters of drainage are required? In step 2, we need to establish our delivery methodology. How are we going to complete the required deliverables? This involves developing our construction methodology. Step 2 will be heavily related to procurement and the development of the project schedule. We'll put a lot of focus on the timing and resource requirements needed to complete the work. By the end of step 2 for each package, we should know whether we plan on subcontracting or self-performing the works, and exactly how we plan on delivering the work package. And finally in step 3, now we know what has to be done and how we are planning on doing it. We can estimate costs. How much money do we need to complete each work package for our self-performed costs? This will require us to estimate our productivities, our labor, plan and materials. When using subcontractors to complete the works, we'll need to get quotes from subcontractors and suppliers. It's worth noting that all these steps are iterative, meaning they won't exactly occur in the order, and the results we get from each stage will impact the previous step. For example, as we're going through and establishing the delivery methodology, we'll probably realize we've missed some scope and have to go back to step 1. Whereas we're estimating costs, we may realize we can save a lot of money by self-performing the works and go back and change our delivery methodology.